Good morning, everyone. Thought I'd jump on and just do a little bit of an education session on breast cancer, because when people get diagnosed with breast cancer, it's not just a one-stroke diagnosis. There are a number of different levels. And just before we jump into that, just to let you know how I'm going, as you can see, I still have a breast, which is fantastic. The surgeon's done an amazing job. There's swelling, quite a bit of swelling there, and with the bra off, they are obviously quite different now. But she's done an amazing job. I have no bruising that I can see. The swelling, I've been told, can take up to 6 months to settle down, depending on how well your body copes. You can see under there, that's where the lymph was taken out. On the whole, doing really, really well and quite mobile. I'm still, the arm hasn't been affected too much, which is great. Now back to the breast cancer. Bit of education for everyone, because I hadn't known that there were many different types of breast cancer. And I've got a few notes here. So if someone gets diagnosed with breast cancer, depending on what website you look up, there's 8 to 9 different types of breast cancer. And they range from a ductal carcinoma in situ, invasive ductal carcinoma, triple negative, inflammatory breast disease. There's medullary, I think that's how it's medullary. Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. Tubular, mucinous, and Paget's disease. So lots of different types. And one of some of the websites also listed metastatic as a different type again. Now, metastatic is your stage 4. That means it's basically spread through your body. What I have is an invasive ductal carcinoma, and that's what 80% of breast cancers are. That's the most common one diagnosed, and it's also the most common one for men to get. And what that means is that cancer cells have formed in the ducts in the breast, but they've started to spread. So they're no longer necessarily contained just in one spot. And that's the one that I've got. So that's the one I can tell you a little bit more about. But all of these different types of breast cancers, once it's diagnosed that you have breast cancer, the next stage is literally called staging. And that's where they work out through biopsies and further testing what stage you're at. Now, stage 0, which is your baseline, means that you have cancer, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just in one tiny little spot. It's very small, hasn't gone anywhere. Then they go up through the stages to your metastatic, which is your stage 4, which is your incredibly serious cancer. At this point, till we get our surgery results back, I'm at a stage 1, which means that it's an invasive ductal carcinoma. It is still mostly contained, but it's the type that will spread out. So therefore, surgery very quickly was required if you go through the standard medical system. Now, once you get your staging and stuff like that, you know sort of how far it's spread, how big it is. Then it also depends on what the cancer is feeding on. One of the ones that I mentioned before, the triple negative cancer, is where it doesn't feed on any of the normal indicators for cancer. And that is estrogen, progesterone, and there's something called the HER2, HER2. Now, with my particular one, mine is positive for estrogen, positive for progesterone, so it's feeding on those two particular hormones in my body. So it's got receptor sites on it, and the hormones are feeding it. With the HER2, what that one tells you is whether or not, it's another receptor site, but it also tells you generally whether or not you're going to be an indicator for chemotherapy. Mine at the moment is inconclusive, so I'm sitting right on the borderline, and so we're waiting on further tests to know whether they're going to recommend chemo or whether they're going to say, I don't need it. It's also at stage 1 and 2 cancers, sometimes they just go, look, you don't need the chemo. So I'm still waiting on those results to find out whether or not they're going to recommend chemo. And so just a very brief education there. There are many, many different types of breast cancers. Then you've got your staging as to how far it has progressed. Then you've also got other information about what that cancer is feeding on. And then that dictates, all of those 3 things dictate what treatment they're going to recommend. Now, all that treatment and everything is coming through the standard medical system. There's also a lot of other people now going to combined complementary therapies, which means they're including things like acupuncture, diet, lifestyle, those sorts of things. And there's also people going purely alternate therapies for their cancer. That's a different post though. Hope you're having a great day. We'll keep you up to date with information, and we'll talk soon.